What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I once again moved. Not to a different town or a different state like I usually do. Basically, my first semester of college, I was paying way too much money to stay in the dorms. It got to a point where we legitimately just couldn't afford it at all. So now, believe it or not, I got my own damn apartment. It is cheaper to live in my own apartment and have my own independent address than to live on campus. It doesn't feel like that's how it should work. But anyway, that's why there is once again another change of scenery. And I also just went on a huge trip for my Christmas break, which, by the way, happy holidays, or I guess I hope you guys all had very, very good holidays. But I accidentally forgot the cord that connects my microphone to my recording software, which is why the audio that you're hearing is really just the microphone audio for my new iPhone. So I do apologize for that. I do have another replacement cord coming very, very soon though, so we will be back to that clean, crisp audio that you guys know and love very, very soon. So if you are a newer viewer, I should let you know that I have never done this before. Historically, my entire channel has only ever been about movies, TV, and video games. I have never ever reviewed music on my channel before, but it is something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. I love music, I always have. I'm pretty much just as passionate about it as I am with theater and film. And last night I knew I really wanted to film a video today, and I didn't know what video I wanted to be the first video that I'm filming in this apartment, and then I was like, well, I've been wanting to review music for a very, very long time, so why don't I just choose a big album that came out last year and just give it a shot? Which is why today we are reviewing the album Guts by Olivia Rodrigo. This is her second studio album, and it came out on September 8th, 2023. It's 12 tracks long, and it clocks in at just under 40 minutes. I'm gonna give my quick brief thoughts on her previous album before we get into the rest of this review. Her previous album, her debut studio album, Sour, was a groundbreaking modern-day pop record back in 2021. The lead single from that album, Driver's License, is a song that pretty much everybody knows. I'm pretty sure it has billions of streams on Spotify. And it was really the song that put Olivia Rodrigo on the map as a modern-day pop sensation. I loved that track when it came out, and I ended up loving Sour as an album. And I also just thought that as an artist, Olivia Rodrigo was a very exciting new development in the modern-day pop landscape because of a lot of the versatility and skill present on her debut record. I became a massive fan of her over the course of the next year, and then she announced that she was going to be releasing her new album Guts, and my anticipation was through the roof. I had very, very high expectations for this thing, but more than anything, I was just out of my mind excited to hear new music from this pop sensation. I genuinely loved the singles that Olivia dropped leading up to this album, which was only 2, by the way, and that just got me more and more excited. I felt that the distinguishability between the 2 singles, Vampire and Bad Idea, right, was extremely noticeable and very, very exciting. It was a hint, to me anyway, that this was going to be some of Olivia's most versatile record making yet. And also something I love is that this album was almost entirely written by Olivia Rodrigo and Dan Nigro, and also almost entirely produced by Dan Nigro, with a few other people popping their heads in on certain tracks. And with Guts, I am very happy to say that Olivia Rodrigo has proven once again that modern-day pop music still has loads to offer in regards to versatility, lyricism, vocal ability, and the occasional unexpectedly existential track that will have you pondering existential ideas long after you listen to the record. This record gets off to a very, very good start with the track All American Bitch, on which Olivia's vocals are noticeably much richer. I love the transitions from the light and floaty verses to the absolutely banging loud chorus. It's also a very satirical track and establishes the humor throughout the album as Olivia goes back and forth between describing herself as this perfect pastime all-American girl while also kind of just hanging on to a thread when it comes to her sanity. It's a really, really fun way to start the record, and we very smoothly transition from this song into track number 2, Bad Idea, right, which was the second single released from this album, which is an absolutely hilarious pop-punk bop about planning to meet up with an old ex that you really probably shouldn't want to reconnect with or try to reconnect with, but it's okay. 2 people can just be friends, right? I mean, you can go through hell and back together and just be friends, right? It's probably a bad idea. I love the punchy production and the time capsule harmonies of the late 90s, and I especially love the subversive pre-chorus and how it builds into the hook. Track number 3 is titled Vampire, and it was the lead single off of this album, and it's also our first signature Olivia Rodrigo piano ballad. And this song presents incredible lyricism and storytelling. This is genuinely one of my favorite Olivia Rodrigo songs. It has a very, very intriguing start with hushed whispery singing that sucks you in, and an even better build-up that leads to a hook that is at risk of being anticlimactic, but ultimately works very, very well, in large part due to Olivia's vocal performance, which is, in my opinion, one of the best she's ever given. It's a very smooth combination of a piano ballad with a rock ballad towards the latter half of the song. And my toxic trait is thinking that I can sing this song. Bloodsucker, flame fucker, bleeding me dry like a goddamn vampire. We slow things down a little bit on track number 4 titled Lacey, which presents us with a very beautiful finger-picking guitar pattern that eventually blossoms into a euphoric and gorgeous instrumentation that really sells the emotion of the song. Over this fever dream-like production, Olivia's vocals are very soft and there's a lot of layers to them, only benefiting the effectiveness of the track. As far as the meaning of the song goes, many have debated over what the true meaning behind these lyrics are, and I honestly haven't even come to my own definitive conclusion as to what I think the song is about, but there are a few things that it's absolutely touching on, such as being so infatuated with someone, whether it be platonic or romantic. The song doesn't even really make it all that clear either, and how being that obsessed with somebody is damaging to you, and how that can be so detrimental to your mental health. But even more so, I would say it focuses on the self-loathing that you go through, realizing how infatuated you are with someone, and the fact that you sort of measure your own value based on how much you value them in your life, or how much perceived value that person has in your eyes. It is a great song, but strangely enough, not one that I re-listen to too often. Things pick up on track number 5, which is titled Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl, which is a hilarious, bitter, and cynical pop-punk cut where Olivia explores the turbulence of growing up homeschooled and how that contributes to a lot of her social anxieties. It maintains the humor of previous tracks such as All American Bitch or Bad Idea Right, while also including smashing production that really sells the chaos of teen angst. Then we go into track number 6, which is titled Making the Bed, and this is our first truly slow, sad, and tragic ballad of the album. In this track, Olivia kind of expresses that she's a little ashamed of who she is. She confesses that she thinks she tries to play the victim in a lot of situations that are actually just entirely her doing, which is a very brave and admirable thing to confess, especially as a female pop artist with the status that she has. And all of these emotions are expressed over a gorgeous instrumental that allow Olivia's vocals to take center stage. I think it's some of her best writing to date. It's one of the most emotional choruses on the record, and it's also the song on the record that I think resonates with me the most. We continue with the tragic ballads on track number 7, which is titled Logical, in which Olivia sings about this past relationship that she was in which the guy in question was very manipulative and made her feel like she was crazy. All of this is articulated through some of my favorite lyricism on the album and a extremely emotional chorus that somehow manages to be insanely catchy despite how sad and slow and emotional it is. Olivia continues to take more accountability in the outro of this track, in which she says, "You know, I'm kind of 50% responsible for the downfall of this relationship, and that makes me feel horrible." Which ties in really nicely to the previous track's themes, Making the Bed. It also has possibly my favorite Olivia Rodrigo bridge of all time. But that leads us into track number 8, titled Get Him Back, which is the certified banger of the album. It is such a heater, dude. It slaps. It slays, it's a banger, you get what I'm saying. It is a very humorous story about this guy that Olivia sort of had a fling with, who was very narcissistic and manipulative and ended up breaking her heart and hurting her beyond repair, but love bombed her just enough that now looking back, she's kind of like, oh, but I miss when we would do this, but then he was also kind of a dick, but then this was so much fun, and his friends were so cool, and he would take me to play, and he would, like, love bomb me, and, you know, the staples of a narcissist. So there's two meanings to the title of this track. Obviously, there's the get him back, like, oh, I want to be with him again, I want to get him back, I want him to be my boyfriend again. And then we get into the double meaning of the title, because it becomes very clear as you get further and further into the song that what Olivia actually means when she says she wants to get him back is that she wants to get a little sweet, sweet revenge. It's an absolutely hilarious satirical song with one of the catchiest hooks of last year and smash hit production. Track number 9 is titled Love is Embarrassing, which is a nice little bop about how sometimes being in love with somebody can be, well, embarrassing. The production is pretty fast-paced, the melodies are very memorable, and I especially love the vocal inflections on the chorus and the bridge in particular. It's not my favorite track on the album. It usually ends up being a skip whenever I'm listening to the album all the way through, but honestly, there's nothing particularly bad about it that I can pinpoint, and it might change in the future. This might in the future become one of my favorite tracks on the album, but at the moment it's not my favorite. Then we have track number 10, which is titled The Grudge, which is by far the most by the numbers, sad, slow piano ballad of the album, but it's still incredible. On this track, Olivia sings about being so deeply in love with somebody who broke your heart and hurt you to the point of no return. You simultaneously hate, despise, but also love and adore this person at the same time. Olivia's lyrics on this song are quite descriptive and do a pretty great job at communicating her emotions, and the build of the pre-chorus and the hook is so emotionally stirring. And we have yet another incredible bridge similar to Logical. And Olivia's vocals just soar over an instrumental that seemed to be pacing itself at the same speed as Olivia is recollecting these events. It is a very, very effective emotional piano ballad. Then we have track number 11, which is titled Pretty Isn't Pretty, and things do speed up on this track, but they don't really get much happier. The track talks about the brutality of modern day beauty standards, especially for young women, and how a lot of young women will do everything in their power to perceive themselves as pretty, to make themselves look pretty by those basic modern-day misogynistic male gaze standards. And yet that there's still something always wrong with the way they look and how they try to present themselves. According to society, of course. Honestly, if I had to sum it all up, this song would have been like the perfect end credit song for the Barbie movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, I absolutely bopped my head to "And I'm bad like a Barbie, I'm a doll but I still wanna party." Like, it's an absolute banger, but I'm just saying, this song would have also fit. Also, the production on this song is extremely nostalgic, which makes it very fun to listen to in a car ride with the windows down, despite the depressing subject matter. Then we get to the final track, track number 12, which is titled Teenage Dream, and no, is not a Katy Perry cover. Instead, this is actually the most unique and existential track on the entire album. In this track, Olivia is sort of reflecting on her youth as she is making the very scary transition from her teen years into adulthood. It's a truly gut-wrenching expression of what one feels when they have to make that transition into adulthood, but also the regret that one feels when they look back at their youth and look at all the things that they regret and just wishing they could go back. While also simultaneously talking about the fear that all your best days are now behind you and you're just gonna suffer and live a monotonous, 9-to-5 work cycle for the rest of your life. It also contains one of the most haunting lyrics ever in a modern day pop song towards the outro of it, where Olivia simply repeats over and over again, "They all say that it gets better the more you grow. They all say that it gets better, but what if I don't?" And even just, oh my god, even just repeating it now, I'm about to cry. It, without fail, every time I hear the song, brings tears to my eyes. It's so beautiful. And the fact that she says it once very quietly in the same, slow piano ballady formula that the song has followed up until this point, and then starts screaming it when the production pulls a full happier than ever moment when there's just insanely loud guitars and percussion, and she's just screaming and crying this line over and over again over this insanely emotional, loud, epic, existential instrumental. It is just, It's the most hard-hitting moment on the entire album for me. It's a truly crushing idea to ponder, and honestly, I don't think any other artist has articulated my feelings when it comes to that idea more accurately ever. So with this final track, the album successfully leaves you with stuff to ponder that goes far beyond typical teenage angst and relationship drama. So moving into my final thoughts, I feel like with Guts, Olivia Rodrigo has truly solidified herself as a modern day pop icon. And I would honestly consider this album the opposite of a sophomore slump. I actually in a lot of ways think that this album tops Sour, which is an album that I already love. Time will tell on this album's impact, but I do think that in the years to come, this is gonna go down as a modern day pop classic. Overall, Guts is pretty much everything I wanted, and so much more in some respects. I don't think there's a bad song on the album, and the vast majority of the tracks are songs that I wouldn't even think of skipping, which is rare for a lot of full-length albums. I really do love this record, and I'm gonna give Guts by Olivia Rodrigo an 8 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. Let me know what other artists you would like for me to check out or what other albums you would like for me to review. As I've said for the newer viewers, this is the first music review I've ever done on the channel, and I honestly had a great time recording it. So definitely let me know that stuff down below. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. I will see you in the next video, and until then, keep writing, keep shooting, and keep editing.